Hi everybody, Russ from the West Ham Network. No fancy graphics. I've come to rant. I've come to rant about the European Super League. Now, cast your minds back to April 2021. There was a random announcement by the European Super League of a 12-team tournament, 12-team league. Unsurprisingly, 12 richest clubs in the world, which is basically Europe in terms of European competition. 6 of them for the Premier League, which then became known as the Greedy Six, playing this tournament and everyone else basically. Oh no, actually, there'll be 3 spots potentially for it. Might increase to 15, and you can get qualified in there. And then we had 2 or 3 days of mass protests by supporters, not just of the Greedy Six teams, but anyone in the Premier League. And the Premier League teams started dropping out. Then also the German sides, and it became, and the Liga sides, and it basically fell apart completely. Now, only 3 teams of that original 12 never backed out: Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Juventus. Now, on Thursday, A22, who are the sports management consultancy behind the original plans, came out with a new idea, a new proposal. We've learned from our mistakes, guys. We've learned from our mistakes. It's not about the 12. It's about, we need a bigger thing, more inclusivity. We need to get more teams involved. We want an 80-team European League system, multi-divisional, no permanent members, promotion, relegation, entry based on your domestic success, minimum of 14 teams is matches per season. Yeah, they've rebadged it, you fool. And the reason why they're doing this is simply money, but also back in April 2021, when this was all happening, UEFA were putting through, or they were putting proposals through for increased numbers in the Champions League, maybe legacy plays and things like that. And they got through. Now, why has this just come out of the woodwork? Well, as a result of that, that sort of potential breakaway league, UEFA and FIFA were basically issued joint statements, I believe, to say they would put sanctions in place for anyone who basically signed up to the breakaway league and did it. And then there was a lot of challenges about that. It went to the European Court of Justice saying they can't do that. It goes against competition law. Now, that ruling, unsurprisingly, comes out in about a month's time. And it's believed to be in UEFA and FIFA's favour. So basically, as of spring, it will be in constitutional law in terms of the being a member of UEFA and FIFA, that you can't basically go to a breakaway league that's not endorsed by either of those organisations, or you're going to get sanctioned. Whether it's you get knocked out, maybe you get fined, you're not in European competitions in the UEFA, that type of thing. And indeed, the Premier League, they had I think this season they actually had as part of their owners' charter, basically said that we don't want nothing to do with breakaway leagues. So why has this come out of left field? Well, because Juventus, Barcelona, and Real Madrid want some more money, and that's why they're still backing it. They see more value being in a European Super League as they do in staying in their own national leagues, and maybe even European competition. It's about money. It's about money. They want an A22 are dying for Barcelona versus Bayern Munich in Brisbane. They want to create almost, in my opinion, almost a Formula One type circuit where they go to these different cities every week, massive amounts of press coverage, massive media coverage, massive amount of sponsorship, and they play half a dozen matches in Abu Dhabi. And then they move to Bahrain, and then they move to Australia. And it's the same thing. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. There's been some absolutely fantastic quotes coming out for people who oppose it. The best one, in my opinion, was one on social media by the La Liga chief exec, Javier Tebas. And he said The Super League is the wolf who today describes himself as a granny to try to fool European football, but his nose and teeth are very big. And that's the thing. Even if it went to this division system, who's going to be in the top division? Oh, I reckon you're looking at least 10 of the 12 of the greedy 12 originally. It's just ridiculous. It's a direct threat to domestic leagues in across Europe. They said that it was KPMG came out and said that in a report. The reality is, if anything this happened, despite what they're saying, and we're going to spend money on grassroots and women's football. The smaller, it'll be a disaster to the national leagues. It will sink the smaller sides and the medium-sized clubs across Europe. Really, European football will be killed. And also, we get to a situation now where the Champions League now is going to be extended, the Europa Conference is going to be extended, and the Europa League to more teams within the league system, going from about 6 to 8, I think, in Champions League, and Europa League conferences increasing as well. And it just is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. The Football Supporters Association chief, Kevin Mills, or Kevin Miles, he said that the walking courts that is the Europa Super League twitches again with all the self-awareness one associates with a zombie. They say dialogue with fans and independent fan groups is essential, yet the European zombie marches on, willfully ignorant to the contempt supporters across the continent have for it. Supporters across the world don't want this. So why are you fucking doing it? Do you know what I mean? Now, the interesting thing to me could be the result of what happens with Man City and the sanctions that could be imposed on them by the Premier League. Now, we've had precedents before. Juventus, they got demoted because of match fixing. Rangers went down divisions as well. I can't remember what that was about, to be honest, but they went down divisions. There is a potential of Man City being kicked out of league football completely. Premier League could say no, fuck off. Then the EFL could say fuck off. And they could be playing, Hornchurch. AFC Hornchurch. If that happens, Man City will surely will get involved in this ESL. And then you look at the others, you've got the, Man United, look at in the midst of a takeover, potentially £6 billion, the Qatarian investment fund, looking at them as well. Liverpool, they want money on their investment on their money. It only takes one or two more to start getting involved, and then you could see a massive step change. And why? Money. You've got a situation now where I think I need to check it. It's the financial report of the top 20, and they break it down by the percentage of its income. And I think off the top of my head, for the Premier League, I think it's about 30, 30, 30. I think it's 30 match day. Well, third match day, a third sponsorship, a third TV rights. It may be more, but if that's the case, it was 30, 30, 30. Someone like Sky, would they rather want to spend money watching, in terms of, would they rather spend the money on, I don't know, Bournemouth versus Southampton, or Barcelona versus Man City? So what if they start spending money on and cut back on cut back on TV coverage of the Premier League? That cuts down how much a team like Man United could earn, a West Ham. But I'm just talking about the City clubs because I think it's keeping up with the Joneses. Then sponsorship. This sexy league. I mean, look at Live Sport, for example. The amount of backers they're getting, and they've got some really big names there. Sponsors are joining them. Sponsors would want to get involved with that as well. And then you've got the match day revenue. Now, with the match day revenue, for someone like West Ham, I'm really looking forward to us playing Chelsea. I'm really looking forward to us playing, I like when Tottenham comes down and Arsenal, all the big clubs. I think everyone does. And there'll be a section of the fan base who'll go and see every game, regardless of who we're playing. There'll be a section of the fan base who'll go and see, who maybe can't go to every game because geographical, they might have a season ticket. Someone like Anton, for example, he can't get to every game, so he has to pick and choose. So he'll pick the most attractive games probably. So you're probably less likely to go and see West Ham versus Bournemouth. He'd probably come down if he can to see us play Man United, or just because of the spectacle. And it's not because and it's because he has a finite number of times he can come down with his family. But there will be a proportion of the guys who are football tourists and stuff like that. So, if anything like this ever happened, it would have a hugely detrimental effect to the game. And that's why so many people opposed it, because it was just, you sort of remember, it was Liverpool's, sort of Chelsea, Spurs. It would be absolutely cataclysmic to the English game, because it not just only the Premier League, but money that does get, and I agree, it doesn't get filtered down enough to the grassroots and the lower leagues of the pyramid, but the money that does get distributed will be considerably less. Players will want more wages because, well, we won't be able to pay the wages because there'll be less income. So there'll be, so it could have a huge effect. So we've got to nip this in the bud straight away. Now, apparently, there's five Premier League clubs have already come out and said, no way, Jose. One leading source, apparently, from a London-based Premier League side, said it was all hot air. Paris Saint-Germain president Nasser Khelif said he called A22, who were the sports management side setting this all up, a side that were living in an alternative reality, a proposal, a rehashed idea that we've already discussed, and comprehensively rejected by everyone, 4 years ago, and they're doing it again. For me, it just seems, I can see why they're trying to do it, because it's their last chance. And if the ruling goes for UEFA and FIFA, which is what we believe it does, it changes the narrative of this story completely. I mean, by all accounts, what's the guy called, the Advocate General, his opinion, which was back in December, said that UEFA should allow the rival competitions, but was then within its rights to block entry into its own. So it's not saying that you can't. It's not saying we can't have a breakaway league, can't have a Super League, but you can't expect to be in there. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't be in that one and be in that one. So that would have credence for the Super League, but all the domestic leagues, the Premier League, will all be in UEFA's corner. So whoever goes, see you later. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I think it's interesting what the narrative will come out with. And I think the narrative, again, will change if Man City decide whatever sanctions come in. Now, I'm not saying they will, but I'm just saying you can see a pathway that could happen. Anyway, let me know in the comments. I'm fascinated about this. For me, I think eventually there will end up being something like this, because it's the way unfortunately, it's the way that money is imposed in the football. And obviously, us as fans can do as much as we can to protest against these ideas and things like that. But look at the Premier League, the way the Premier League was set up. For that exact, it's a similar thing, but again, there was relegation, but still, it had to take down the number of clubs involved, and again, the money was centralised towards. That's why you have to be in the Premier League to make money. You have to stay in the Premier League to make money. It will be a case, maybe, who knows, in the next 10, 20 years, where you have to be in the Europa Super League. Otherwise, you're not going to be making any money. Now, for some purists, that's going to be great because it means, from a purist, it means that there'll be more opportunity for academy players to break through and to play in the first team. And I totally get that. But, for the club as a commercial entity and survival, it needs to be, eating at the, it needs to be at the top table. It needs to be at the Premier League. That's why that's why at the moment, we've having this massive debate about academy players not breaking into the first team because we need to be in the Premier League because that's, and some rightfully or wrongfully are saying, I don't care what league we're in as long as we're seeing West Ham play or West Ham play good football and and I totally get that as well. But I'll be fascinated to get your comments on this. Again, that was just my brain dump, and I appreciate you listening to my brain dump. But I just wanted to get something out there because it's a really important thing, and not just West Ham fans. If you're watching this and you're a Man United fan, or you're an Orient fan, or you're a hashtag United fan, or whatever, I want to get your comments as well because I think it's really important to sort of get everyone's view because there will be some who are for this. There will be some people who are for this because we know that. Not everyone feels. If everyone felt the same, this would never even be on the agenda. So, as well as them being some money men who are in for this, there will be some fans who are up for this. I guarantee it because they want to see glamorized. They want to see their club playing against the likes of Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, things like that. When we were drawn in the Europa League, we wanted Barcelona. We didn't want a shit team to get through the next round. We wanted to play the big boys. So there's a desire. There's always a natural desire to play these teams, and if you could play them every week, some people would love that. But obviously, that's a detriment of being in the Premier League. Anyway, as I said, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. I've ranted for 15, 20 minutes. I do apologise. But I'll be really interested to know your thoughts. Please, please, please. And give it a like. Share it around. Let's get some. I'd love to get a conversation about this and start listening to people and getting your thoughts. But take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Much love. Rant over at Russy.